welcome back to Oh That Girl Reads, where we read what we love and DNF the rest. I'm your host, Bria, and today I just need to catch up with you guys. There's some exciting things happening, and ah, oh my god, so many exciting things happening. First of all, did you hear our cute little intro music? Also, do I sound different to you? My little sister, she is actually the most kind and loving and supportive human being in my life. And she actually sponsored the podcast by buying us a new microphone. And so now I am blessing your ears with the gift that my sister has blessed me with. So thank you so much to my little sister Brooke for providing me with this. It means the world to me. Um, that being said, I haven't been around lately. Oh, it has been crazy. First off, I feel completely wrecked. I am moving. I'm running a summer camp. Trying to do my best with Oh That Girl Reads, trying to do my best with like my own personal life and everything. And it's kind of gotten a little overwhelming. But despite all of that, this has actually been my highest reading month since the year started, which is kind of typical for June. I will say it gets super hot in Arizona, and so I'm inside more. I'm a little bit more introspective in the summer. It's like spring is like my feral energy era. Like I'm a summer girly in the spring, if that makes sense. So that usual outside the house energy, yeah, that's me when I'm out and about in the spring, enjoying time, vibing, and thriving. In the summer, I am more of like a winter girly in that I get really depressed and moody. But my reads this month has been excellent. Like most of them were top hits. So good. And I will tell you about those in a little bit. But anyway, all that to say is that it's been kind of a little nuts on my end. So I'm trying to like get things back together. When you're listening to this, I will be in a room filled with 18 teenagers and teaching them about photography. So that's what I will be doing this week. Let me know what you guys are going to be conquering this week. I hope you do amazing at it, but that is what I will be doing. I will also be working on a little special podcast episode featuring the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. That book has inspired so much nerdy energy in me. I am deep diving into history of vampires, into feminism of the 80s, and into the war on drugs. Like I'm literally doing so much research for this kind of podcast episode review thing, book club discussion. At this point, I'm reading about 4 essays. I think a few of them are actually people's dissertations because I got them all from academic sources. That was one thing that was really important to me. I did look at like a few like blogs and like personal discussion boards, but I really did want to draw my own thoughts from academic sources. So I very much used my nerdy English girl background in order to kind of like supplement the research part of the book review. That being said, I feel like it's going to lean more towards the like the spoiler side. So I will say that that episode will most likely contain spoilers if you plan on reading this book. It is a book that I do recommend, but I will say there some insane trigger warnings for gore, blood, sexual assault, detailed rape, and things like that. So yeah, that's what's been going on with me lately. Let's talk about the books that I've read this month. I think so for me, I feel like I actually want to bring a book along with me this week, or at least have a book set up for me to read at the end of the long days. The camp runs 9:30 to 3:30, so not too bad, about 6 hours. And then There's like an hour lunch break, so really it's like 5 hours. But I'll get there kind of early. So I think like after the day, it's really hot outside. I think I'll actually like want to sit and read something. So there is this one book that I do kind of want to read this week. It's called Between Us by Vari McFarlane. And this book, so I'll read the synopsis to you. It says, when Rosen and Joe join their friends for a weekend at a country house, it's a triple celebration: a birthday, an engagement, and the launch of Joe's shiny new TV show. But as the weekend unfolds, tensions come to light in the group, and Rosen begins to question her own relationship. And as they watch the first episode of Joe's drama, she realizes that the private things she told him, which should have stayed between them, are right there on the screen. With her friend group in chaos and her messy love life on display for the whole world to see, Royston returns home to avoid the unwanted attention and help run her family's pub. But drama still follows in the form of her dysfunctional family and the looming question: what other parts of her now ex's show are inspired by real events, lies, infidelity? Every week, as a new episode airs, she wonders what other secrets will be revealed. Yet the most unexpected twist of all is an old friend who is suddenly there for Rose in a way she never knew she needed. It seems like such a good summer vibe, like such a good summer show. I downloaded this book through NetGalley, so thank you for NetGalley for giving me this arc for in exchange for a review. I am really excited to actually read this, so I think I might. But at the same time, okay, I'm having such decision paralysis because I also kind of want to start what is it called? Oh, Happy Place by Emily Henry. I watched a live by Mari. She is a TikToker, also a booktuber. I actually discovered her on Booktube like years and years and years ago. Um, but yeah, I was listening to her live and they were talking about Happy Place and about how with Emily Henry's writing, she kind of doesn't follow the status quo in terms of romance where there's not a guaranteed like happily ever after, or we're assuming that they're happy, or they're happy for now type vibe. Like some of her books don't end that way, and I think that's actually why I appreciate Emily Henry as an author, and why I also say that Emily Henry is not fully romance. I say she is like lit fic. They say, I don't know, they use this worm. They use this term women's fiction, and I don't know, I don't think women's fiction is the word that I would use, or the phrasing that I would use, because it implies that no one else could actually engage in this fiction. At that point, just call it fiction. It's just fiction, because what the fuck is women's fiction? I don't know. I don't know. I have opinions about that. But yeah, I'm debating between that story and Between Us. I'm a little bit more excited about Between Us, especially because I get to read it on my Kindle. I don't know why. I've been really gelling with my Kindle lately. I've been gelling with the reading experience on the Kindle, but I also would feel a little bit more comfortable bringing it to the summer camp with me. Oh, wait. I would have to take my stickers off. If you if you guys are watching on YouTube, like if you're watching it, well, actually, I think I'll actually upload the video podcast to both um Spotify and YouTube. But if you guys are watching on like on Spotify or YouTube, you will actually see the stickers. I have this sticker. It's called a kinky fruit. It's by this zine artist named Bria. I'll leave her linked down in the show notes and in the description. I also have this like sexy Carlisle Cullen like sticker, and I'll link the artist down below for that one too. And it says nice kitty, and he's like in a thong and a crop top. So I would have to definitely change the stickers in my Kindle. I could probably leave like my Blackpink stickers in there. But yeah, I would definitely have to change what's on my Kindle in order to bring it. But I've been kind of enjoying the reading experience, and I think that's like partly why I feel like I've read so much during this month. I think I would have read as like a little bit more anyway, but I think the reading experience on the Kindle has made reading so casual for me in a way, whereas like w- when I have like a physical book, it kind of feels like a production. Like I am now reading a book and I am now sitting here with said book. I don't know. I don't feel negative. Of course, like I'm traditional paperback, hardback girly. Like I like a physical book, but I do think that reading on Kindle made reading a little bit more accessible to me this month, which was really great as an option. But oh my gosh, I think I completely went off track talking about this. But let me tell you about what I actually read this month. Okay, so I already talked about the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I was so surprised that I loved this book. Again, trigger warnings for a recounting of a rape scene. For me personally, when it comes to like sexual assault scenes, it's kind of depending on how it's written, it's really difficult for me to read. I've read like rape scenes before, but like when you're like really deeply in like the psychological aspect of a character trying to survive a sexual assault, I think that's what really gets me. And then I also think like when a character is retelling it, it really gets me. It makes it feel a lot more raw and personal when those two situations occur in terms of like having like sexual assault in novels and in written work. So if you're kind of like me in that sense, I will definitely say that like be prepared when you're going into this, because I was actually surprised that that was a part of this story because I didn't check the trigger warnings. Um, I really didn't. I just kind of went in blind. And it's been interesting, like the whole discussion around trigger warnings as of late, because I think trigger warnings in literature is a new thing. It's a very new thing. And I think authors do have some sort of responsibility to include, like authors and publishers have a responsibility to include trigger warnings in things if they can. But at the same time, it is a very new concept. Like I think about when I was reading when I was younger, and I I never really had trigger warnings available to me until Booktube became a thing. And I remember it was this one specific book. I can't remember what it was called. Um, but it was basically a YA lit book, and it was a book about a school shooting, and the book's timeline was over the span of the 5 minutes of the shooting. And then you also kind of get like flashbacks to um the characters, but the timeline of the book is the 5 minutes of the actual active shooting. And it is very intense. Like it is so intense. And I remember that being the first book that I was actually extremely triggered by. And I did get trigger warnings for that book when I first like discovered it through YouTube, because I found the book through YouTube, and the person who suggested it, I believe it was Christina Ricci. Is that how you say her last name? She's an author now as well, which is really exciting. But yeah, it was through her. It's like Poland's Books and Bananas. Um, that's where I found the book, and that was the first time I've ever interacted with a trigger warning. And so that's fairly new. That's not more than, oh, it is more than 10 years ago. So it's a little bit over 10 years ago. I forget how old I am sometimes. Dear God. Anyway, but yeah, it's a little over like 10 years, maybe close to 13 years that, trigger warnings have really been introduced into the reading space. But then now that readers are so close to the publishing industry, and the publishing industry kind of has a closer eye on us, now it feels like it's kind of starting to pick up a little bit in terms of that. So I say all that to say is that it's really interesting how like the conversation around trigger warnings has changed, in that, a lot of people feel one way or the other about them. Like some people feel like they're super necessary, and some people feel like they're kind of hand quote unquote handicapping people in some way, which I think is a really weird argument. I'm somewhere in the middle in that I feel like if there's something to be warned about, warn us. um, Let me know. Like for me, blood doesn't actually bother me too much. But now that I'm reading horror a little bit more, I'm starting to find that there's actually boundaries and limits that I have with blood. So, and I also think that like trigger warnings is one of those things that change throughout life. But anyway, I actually really did enjoy Southern's Book Club's guides to slaying vampires. So we're gonna look at June for our stats and our books and see what we read. Okay, so technically in June we've read 7 books. What? That is so crazy. I actually just finished a novella today. Let me start off with that novella because it was very short, a very easy read. I thought it was kind of cute. I have some criticisms about it, but we'll get into that in a second. So, the book that I read today, it was called The Guy for Me by Marzi Opal. I don't have my glasses on, so sorry if I blocked your view of my beautiful face. um, it's The Guy for Me by Marzi Opal. It is a cute friends to lovers type novella story. It's very short. I think it falls like way under 150 pages. Like I flew past this book and most of it is just like fluff and smut, and there's not any sort of breakups. There's like a small conflict, but it's really sweet. I like it. It's like how they get together, you know. Both of our characters are plus size. There's a lot of like conversations about body image and self-confidence. Our two characters meet together because they were pen pals in high school, and there's a little bit of secret identity going on there. So it was a really cute and fun story. The only thing that kind of got me sometimes was that because there was this element of like body positivity in it, it did get a little preachy at one point, not in the sense of like I don't want to hear about body positivity. If y'all know me, that's not what I'm saying. But the way it was written in dialogue, it very much felt like rather than a character having like working through certain thoughts and certain insecurities, they were almost giving a motivational speech or like regurgitating um some ideologies about body positivity and confidence and things like that. So it just didn't, at certain points, like those messagings didn't feel very natural to the character's voice. I also felt like sometimes it got like a little overly confessional with like the emotions and the feelings of each of the characters. Not that it was like a bad thing, but like sometimes it would be like, okay, all right, we get it. You're really into each other. But like it felt like it was only expressed through words. But again, it was like a nice light read. I very much enjoyed it. It was great for the afternoon. I was just like laying in bed cramping on my heating pad reading this little horny cute book, and it was good. Like that's all I needed. Um we all already talked about Southern. Team Players. So I read 2 books by Deanna Gray, and it's from the Mendel Hawk series. Both of those books were from this series. It's book 1 and book 2. Team Players was book 2, and I loved loved this book. This book was so good. It was very much, it wasn't really like rivals to lovers. It was just like really two competitive people who are just like super into each other, and there is a third act breakup. But there is a cute little bet to see like, you know, if you know who's gonna fall in love first type shit. I don't know, it was just good. I definitely recommend both books by Deanna Gray. Team Players is like the one with kind of like the rivals to lovers type vibe, and then the other book, Sunny Disposition, has kind of like no third act breakup. It's just two people falling in love, hidden identity. Again, I kind of really like this like hidden identity theme, and I think like if you do it really well, it comes off magnifique. I'm just saying. If you want a full review of Sunny Disposition, check out my Instagram, Oh That Girl Reads, and you can see all of that there. Another book that I read was Chaser by Therese M. Clark. Most of these books that I've read were digital this month. Yeah, most of the books that I read were digital this month. Um, this other one, by Therese M. Clark, it clocks in around 383 pages. It's a little on the longer side for me in terms of like romance. Um, and it's one of those books where I didn't really feel like it needed to be that long, in the sense that, like, I don't know, I felt like we were like really jumping between like timelines in this book, and I really liked it. I liked the plus size main character. She's a billionaire, she's rich, she's hot, she's like thriving in life, but she's also complex in that she's had some insecurities and she's worked super hard throughout her life to rebuild herself from the image that her ex-lovers and her family have imposed on her as like a fat black woman who's in upper society, essentially. And she meets this kind of like cowboy ranger type guy. Um, and that guy is featured in the last book that features her best friend. So this is kind of like a second book in kind of like a romantic series that follows like each character. I really liked it. It was really enjoyable when I read it. I think my main thing with it is that I kind of wish, rather than this being a romance, that it was kind of a coming of age story type thing for the main character, Shayla. I enjoyed Shayla so much that I wish I would have gotten to see her go through that development on her own. Um, Especially because I didn't really feel like I liked the male love interest as much. Like I wasn't really feeling him like that. I kind of felt, I felt kind of irritable whenever he was around. I was like, oh dang, now we gotta talk to him. I felt irritable when he was around, but I also felt like that's when we got to know a lot more about Shayla, and where a lot of like her little quirks were kind of being teased out as well. But I really wish that I could just have a story about her. Like I adored Shayla, and also I've never had migraine be represented, like chronic migraine be represented in a novel before, and I'm someone who suffers with chronic migraines, and I don't know, it's kind of special to kind of have a character who was kind of like me in that sense. So that was a really interesting take. I really do wish that like we got a little bit more of just about Shayla. I didn't really care about her love interest. So, I mean, Therese really wrote like a really good female lead. I really wish that like I just want a story about her. Just call it Shayla. And this book specifically for Bria because she wants to know all about Shayla. Okay. Another book that I read this month was The Happy Couple by Noise Dolan. I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. This one was fun. It reminded me of Four Weddings and a Funeral. And to be honest, I came out of the book, I went into the book thinking, like, okay, I'm going to be on someone's side because it is, in the synopsis, it just basically explains that um, the groom in the wedding, I forget everybody's names, but the groom in this wedding in this book, he's been actively cheating on his fiance, and his fiance kind of knows it, and the story kind of like basically details her process and like coming to the conclusion of like whether or not she's going to get married, and everyone around her is like, are they going to get married, are they going to make it to the altar type thing. And so you get all these cool perspectives. You get the bride's perspective, the groom, well, bride's perspective, and then I think you get the groom's best friend's perspective next, and then you get the bride's sister's perspective next, and then you get the wedding guest perspective next. Wait, no, you get the groom's perspective next, and then you get the wedding guest perspective. And it was so fun. It was like a really fun book. It was like sad and moody, and like some of the humor I didn't fully get. It feels particular to people who are like from the UK. Like there's like really like jokes and tones that I feel like only I feel like only like they would kind of clue in on. So there's kind of like a little bit of like cultural relativism with that, which made me laugh because there is an American character in there who never gets the jokes that like that the group is telling, even though they're like friends and stuff like that. He never gets it, and I was like, I am that American. But it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. I Oh my god, the groom's perspective was the best. I loved his perspective on that whole entire thing. It was great. And so the last book that I read this month was Yellowface, by R.F. Kuang. This book was insanely good. I feel I've have a full review of it on my Instagram. Oh, that girl reads. So if you want like full fleshed out thoughts about it, you can go check it out over there. But I will say, like, if you are looking to get into like an R.F. Kuang book and you think like Babel is a little too big, a little bit too intense, the vibes kind of like, rah. Or if you think like Poppy War is a little bit too like intense, I think going in and exploring Yellowface will kind of give you the vibe of R.F. Kuang's writing and get you excited about her writing. So I'm actually kind of excited to explore more of R.F. Kuang's writing. I have so many of her books on my shelf, like so many of her books on my shelf, and I need to actually read what is on my shelf. But yes. So something that I kind of also want to talk about this month, like it has been the highest reading month for me, but it's also been the highest book buying month for me. I was gonna do like a little haul on here, but I figured that I'll just save that haul for my YouTube channel. That is Bria L. You can go check it out over there. I feel like it would just be kind of too long and a little bit cumbersome with the setup that I have going over here to do a book haul. But I do have to mention these beautiful Kennedy Ryan books that I got. I got, so first off, congratulations to Kennedy Ryan for being picked up by a traditional publisher. I believe she's going with Bloom Books, and so with that, there has been like some cover changes going on. And the new covers for like the Hoop series, I'm not really feeling. I'm not really feeling. So it got they so she had 2 editions of the Hoop series. One of them was with like the nice men on the cover. And the other one is like with like the hand drawn people. And I think a lot of romance nowadays is kind of going towards this ambiguous or discreet covering when it comes to romance. And I'm like, Pshaw, I don't believe in that. The hornier the book looks, the better it is. No, just kidding. But I don't know. I don't know how I necessarily feel about that. But at the same time, I do think that opens up a little bit more sellability for the author. So at the same time, I'm kind of like, I get it. You don't really see many people walking around with like the traditional clinch covers anymore. Though I will say I need to start reading Beverly Jenkins. I heard that Beverly Jenkins was really good and she has like the traditional clinch covers and I kind of want them. So I think that's going to be next on my list in terms of my book buying, but I do wow, I'm all over the place. I do want to read what I have first. But that's to say, I got the special edition of the Hoop series, and that is the editions with the actual like cartoon hand drawn covers. Let me see if I can grab those for you real fast. Okay, yeah. So I got the special edition versions of this book series and they look so good. I was gonna just like insert a little photo of them, but I have them physically here. So you should see them. So this is Block Shot. I'm not really sure of the order, but I just think they're so beautiful looking and I'm so happy because this is like the first time Amazon has actually given me beautiful books. This is Hook Shot, super good. And then Long Shot. Long Shot is the book known to make everybody cry. um, Yeah, these books are beautiful. I had to order them off of Amazon because I just really wanted them here and present and with me, and I wasn't sure like if if like I would get the covers that I wanted in time. So I was definitely feeling like I was in a little bit of a scarcity mindset when I bought those books, but I'm really excited that I did purchase them. They're beautiful looking. So that was definitely worth it. I also just did like a bunch of just little Barnes and Nobles and Target trips. One of my biggest expenses this month in terms of book buying was buying my Kindle, and I did buy the books that I also read this month on my Kindle. So it was definitely a high buying month. But my goal now is to actually just start reading through what I have accumulated, especially because the summer months are my highest reading month. So um, I don't want to waste my reading energy by like buying more and like consuming more. I really do want to give special time to like the books that I have available to me on my shelf and be grateful to them and like, explore them. And then if they're not for me, I want to be able to give those books either away, donate them, or sell them secondhand. I want to, I just want to be able to do that. um, so yeah, that's been really, really exciting. But yeah, back to Kennedy Ryan. I have to take a moment to kind of like praise her a little bit because she explain something about like her writing process that I feel like is definitely the reason why I'm really attracted to her. So, the first book that I read by her is Before I Let Go. And I believe that book is now optioned to be made into a TV show. I'm a little nervous about that. Not sure if I'll do that. Really engage with that. But honestly, I'll try. I gotta support my girl. I just can't. It's so hard for me sometimes with like books to movies because I just feel like I want to keep them so close to me. But at the same time, like I have such deep respect for the authors that I want to give it a chance. But anyway, I have to say that Kennedy Ryan's writing, and she kind of explained this in a TikTok video, is the type where it's like it's gonna be romantic. It's gonna be so good and you're going to fall in love with these characters and you're really going to care about them, but you're also going to be taken through a really emotional journey. And I think that's like something that I really appreciated about Before I Let Go was the fact that the love was so real to me. Before I Let Go is for those of you who don't know, it's a second chance romance between a couple, Yasmin and Josiah. Yasmin and Josiah have 3 children together, and it's a story that follows like grief, child loss, familial loss, divorce, and turbulent relationship between um, parent and child. It's such a complicated and beautiful story, and despite how rough it was at times and how heartbreaking it was at times, it made me really believe in love in a different type of way. Like it made me believe in love as like the act of love and not just the falling of love. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like there's a difference between the act of loving someone and the act of falling in love with someone where you're getting like all of the emotions and things like that. I feel like it's the same way I view like Bridgerton or like Bridgerton versus Queen Charlotte. Whereas like Queen Charlotte, you are literally seeing the act of love, and you kind of see like Queen Charlotte's journey, and she's talking about like these hard, difficult topics, and she sees love as a very practical thing. It's an emotion, it's a feeling, but it's also something she chose every single day. Whereas like with Bridgerton, there was like a little bit more fluff. There's a little bit more fluff, a little bit more sauciness, a little bit more like feelings involved. And I don't know, I just feel like Before I Let Go in that sense has had me feeling very much like, okay, love does exist in the fact that there can be broken things, But if you choose to, you can kind of recover from anything if you truly wanted to, and if it's meant to be, um, and if the other person is trying to. And I don't know, it's just so good. It is so good. It is, I have to say, it is one of my favorite romances out there. It really, truly is. It's one of my favorite romances out there. It really modeled the type of love that I want, in the sense of like, you can, in a way, you can recover from anything, even if it looks crazy while while you're recovering from it. Like, it's like so imperfect. Like, the whole journey of it is so imperfect, and I feel, oh my god, it's just, oh, it is one of my favorite romances. Like, I that's all I can say. It's one of my favorite romances. Um anyway, so I'm really excited for her, and being traditionally published. I kind of want to get her like self-published covers in a way, because now I know that everything's going to kind of be re-released at a certain point, but I'm not in a hurry. I think I did feel a little bit of panic about like the whole like self-published covers versus like traditionally published covers, because of the whole Magnolia Park situation. I don't know if you guys seen it. I forgot the author's names. It's like something Hastings, but those new Magnolia Park covers are, they're not it. They do not look good. I feel so sorry for everybody. I feel sorry for myself. I only have the first Magnolia Parks book. I wasn't really into it that much, but I'm kind of glad I have like the first um cover of it. I think it's a really cool cover. But I wasn't really into the series. I didn't really vibe with it that much, but I loved that first cover, and I thought it was a beautiful book. Like, stylistically, it just looked really pretty. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bunch of crazy stuff, but yeah, that's what's been going on with me in terms of like my bookish life in the past 2 weeks. I hope you guys really enjoyed that last Smash or Pass episode, and it looks like I have more of you this time around. So thank you all for being here with me. It's been such an honor and such a fun journey of like, um, creating this podcast and expressing myself through this new medium for me. I've this is has been such a fun journey, and so I thank you so much for being here with me and coming along with me. Um, yeah, and I hope you like the way we sound now. I think we sound so good. I think we sound fantastic. Everything's a learning curve, so if you have any feedback for me, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you all for being here, and remember to read what you love and DNF the rest. Bye. So long, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. If you would like to see more, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok, Oh That Girl Reads. If you want more bookish content, feel free to check out my Booktube channel, Bria on YouTube. Remember, read what you love and DNF the rest. Bye!